Today we went to Termos del Rio for Anneke's birthday party. I want to talk a little bit about Termos del Rio because on their website, if you go under where promotions and coupons are, you can pick up a great coupon like we did for our family, which was 5 entrances for $10 or 5 entrances and a meal for $27. Now, we end up getting the pizza. I do not recommend the pizza, but there was hamburgers or hot dogs, and there are many other promotions and coupons. So please check that out before you go. You need to print it off because as you see on my coupon, there's a unique code at the bottom. They will only take one with a unique number, so make sure you have access to a printer and print that off. I don't think they let you do it from a phone. I'm pretty sure they don't. It has to be printed off. Now, one of the cool things about going to Termos del Rio is that they have these rentals. You can even just rent a hammock for $2. A barbecue is $2, a table's $3, a glorietta's $15, and you get these lockers, all varying prices, and it's $1 for parking. Now, our situation didn't end up so great. We actually did rent 3 tables. I was hoping to get 3 in a row, and they have them in these little forested areas called bosques, and they have 1 to 8, I believe. And this is what they look like, the picnic tables. This is where those hammock rentals are. You'll see there's hammocks randomly strewn over the picnic tables. Now, we got there about an hour after it opened. So if you're going to go and try to get a table, you need to be there the moment they open, especially on a weekend or holiday, because this place was jam-packed. And one of the people we were with said probably people just take a table without even renting it. We ended up having to go ask for our money back because we couldn't find tables. And as we were walking around looking for a place, as you can see, this truck drives up. All these people are here waiting to get a table. I'm not sure why all the tables weren't out to begin with, but this truck has 6 tables on it and people are like clambering over each other to take a table. So I would recommend being there the moment they open and perhaps just get 1 table and not try to get 3 in a row because that's just never going to happen. And really it was just a place to keep our stuff and, you know, kind of come back to have our cupcakes for Anneke's birthday party and that kind of idea. But these areas are actually quite far from where the main events are, so you're going to be leaving your stuff there unattended unless you get a locker. And last time we were there, we got a locker. And the picture of that rental actually showed a lot of lockers. I'm not sure where that was because I only saw a few lockers out by the washrooms. So there must have bigger space for these lockers somewhere else in the facility. They also have other activities like horseback riding. You pay $1 for that. They have 2 horses. And we've seen them go by many, many times. So it's a very popular event. Here's the second one. And they have a few other extra things you can pay for. I'll talk about as we go on. But right now, the main attraction is the water slides and the wave pool. I think that's where the majority of the people were. There is a little bit of a hot spring area, and I'll show that later on, but it's not very hot. It's not like when we went to the actual hot springs, the Alicante one. It's not that hot. There's actually a fish in there. It can't be too hot or the fish will be cooked. So I'm going to walk around the park a little bit and show you all the places that we visited. There's a lot of restaurants and just people enjoying themselves. This was a Sunday, so it was jammed packed. As you can see, there's people sitting at these little restaurant bar areas. Like the horseback riding, there is another event you can pay for. I think it's $1 as well, and that is the zip line. And it's pretty intense, actually. I'm not brave enough to try this. And my kids tried to do this last time. But when they got to the top to start, the guy was giving them directions, and because they didn't speak Spanish and had no one there to translate for them, he wouldn't let them go because he was afraid they wouldn't understand the directions and have an accident. This too was a very popular event. I watched several people go by because it's right near the water slides. So you can be sitting there watching your kids in the water slides and watching somebody zip line at the same time. But it's interesting, they're all harnessed up and then he undoes it and sends a harness back, and then they can start over again. They're going to walk back to where they started. There's a lot of pathways here. I'm just walking through them just to give you an idea of how big this area is. Those are all those, those bosques, 1 to 8 of all the seating areas. And you can see some have tents over them too. So it does provide some shade, not just from the trees, but they have those covered areas with the tents. Great if you got that hammock rental and you just want to relax after a nice day in the water park. In one of the areas, I did not go down to the left side of this, but I zoom in a little bit later on. There's a bridge or something down there, so I don't know what's down there. But the water there, I assume, is where the Termos del Rio is, where the hot river is. So I'll walk around a little bit and show you what the place is really all about. Yeah, so here's that river. I zoomed in a little bit here, and I don't know exactly where it starts, if anyone else has tapped into this hot water energy. But there's that bridge I was talking about that goes over across it. So I guess you can just go on a little bit of a nature hike and have a look at it. But most of the areas are like this. They're sort of semi-paved, usually with pavers or concrete. I would not walk around barefoot because there's lots of little stones, so always keep your shoes on. Also, I noticed that there was some like beer bottle cap tops and other things just around. So I know lots of kids had been running around with no shoes on, but I would not recommend that at all. And there is a railing here because some of this gets pretty slippery and people are going with their wet bathing suits and whatnot. So you might want to hold on because there's some steeper areas that you can go down, or you can do the steps. So usually they're very wheelchair accessible in areas. So they have ramps and they have steps, but just be careful, it does get slippery. There's some steps there. I just held onto the railing the whole time because my feet were wet inside my shoes, which also made that kind of a bit slippery. That's the thermal springs. So that place was packed and they had kids with inner tubes. It's not hot. So it's only just slightly warmer than the rest of the water if you ask me. But there are little fish inside there. So my kids did not really like to have the fish nibble at them too much. Willem did come back with us, and GJ and I, we went down there together, and then Willem came back again to go all by himself. So I guess he didn't mind the fish as much as Anneke and Lawrence did. But it was definitely family friendly down there. There was so many people. And like I said, little fish. I don't know if they can clean that, or I don't think it's chlorinated or something like that because it's all natural, right? And it's gravel bottom. It's not like concrete or anything. So I don't know how well it works with cleaning that water. I noticed that the water in the wave pool looked pretty kind of nasty at the end of the day. And there's one reason why, and it'll come up in later on in the video, but it gets pretty grubby in the water. So I'm hoping that they have lots of filtration, and I don't think they do salt water. I think it's chlorine, but I don't know what they do with the natural part, the thermal part. I don't know how they clean that. So this is the pool to the very far left of the water slide area, and I'll walk through the whole thing because it's actually quite large. So even though it was very packed, everyone had access to the water. In front of that pool is this little I guess sort of like a splash pad, but the water is about knee deep in that one. Here's a guy in a wheelchair right there. I saw a few people in wheelchairs yesterday, actually. I love how they do these box hedges. Really the art with the nature. And I think there's 6 water slides, but they're not always all open, and they're not always open the whole time you're there either, which is, I don't know, it's kind of different. We're used to water parks where you go and they're open the whole time. The slides don't close down for a certain time or anything like that. But this place, the wave pool, there's Lawrence going, the wave pool only runs like the waves 3 times a day. They did that when we were there on a Tuesday. I thought maybe that's just a Tuesday thing. No, they did the same thing here. I think the first one doesn't start till 11:30, and then there's one around 2 and one around 4, and the whole thing closed at 5. So they have these little areas dipped down for any kids, young babies or whatever, want to get wet without risk of being drowning in a pool. So there's lots of that around too. So it's for everyone in the family. Like I said, little kids, anyone who's elderly or disabled or anything. It's just a really wonderful place to come out as a whole family. And as you can see, it was a bit cloudy, so we didn't have to really wear hats or whatever, although the clouds did go away and I wasn't paying attention. I did not put my hat on, and I could say we all got a little bit sunburned, but I think we're going to survive. See, there's this little trough here going. These little kids are in this little tiny trough of where water's overflowing from different areas and spilling through, and there's all these pipes that link all this together. And then this is another one, the splash pad areas. This one's really geared towards the little kids, and it's not deep at all. It's really just like a glorified splash pad, and then they have these buckets that dump water on you, and water that sprays up from everywhere. So it's a lot of fun. And you can see that people are going with those little inner tubes as well, and I'll show you in the wave pool section. Those are actually quite handy. We did get some for our kids as well. And the waves in the wave pool can be pretty strong, so having your kid in one of those is really great. And there's Lawrence again in this other pool. This was the pool on the far right of where the water slides are. I see there's like a little river that goes around the pool there, and by the end of the day when we were leaving, that was completely dried up. So I don't know if that's just overflow from all the splashing or if it's actively being fed from somewhere. So I keep walking around here. There's tons of places to eat. And those are the glorietas. They have a hammock, a table, there's like a ceiling fan. Really great place. I really wanted those. But when I got there, they basically said, first come, first serve, and they're all gone. I don't know how many they have, but I had seen them here. I'd seen them around the back of the pool on the left. They're everywhere, but they were all gone. And I didn't realize till this visit, but they actually have a nursery there that they're selling plants in. Now, I looked around, I thought, yeah, beautiful plants. I thought I should get some. But by the time you leave at the end of the day, you totally forget there's plants for sale to begin with. So you really want to get that early, keep it at your table so you can remember to take it when you leave. They're not very expensive. I think between $3 and $5 for different plants. beautiful flowers, nice bushes. There was like rose bushes and other things there that looked really, really nice. Although we don't own this house, it would have been nice to beautify a little bit, a tiny bit. On this side, they had that beautiful tree. I just love the flowers that are around. The whole property is quite beautiful. And there's some more plants that they have for sale. They also have a souvenir shop here, and they have another one I'll show you a little later on. But this one was selling bathing suits and tubes and stuff you would need actually if you need it for swimming there. There's a little soccer field behind those signs, and we actually had to park on the other side of that. I don't think the soccer field's part of Termos del Rio, but the parking's on one side of it and the park's on the other side of it, so I don't know how you get into it otherwise. They have this little truck that goes around like a train and those little pedal cars. They have a set track that they go around the whole park in, and those pedal cars are kind of dangerous. I almost got run over by a couple of them. Not the best drivers, I'd say. This is the beginning of the restaurant area. So this is basically one extreme end of the park where the exit is. And you can see the soccer field is right there. Like I said, the park goes around 3 sides of that soccer field, so I don't know how you get into it if it's not part of the park. But I take a little close up of this sign. You can see they have all kinds of food here. They also have, the Papa John's and the Pollo Campero and all kinds of other areas to eat. That's the other souvenir shop, and that's where a small set of those lockers are. That's the only one I'd seen, unless they're inside the souvenir shop, I'm not sure. This is why the pool got very, very dirty during the day. Any of the water did, but the wave pool especially. As you can see, we have black snow raining again. This is sugarcane being burned somewhere, and the black snow is falling from the sky. So it did make the pool very dirty, and when I got home and took my bathing suit off, I had that stuff stuck all over the inside of me. That is the pizza I talked about. It was the worst pizza I've ever had. Don't get the pizza. It's awful. But the hamburger and hot dog probably would have been fine. Or we could have gotten a different coupon. I just picked that one because that one seemed like it was perfect for us. Family of 5. That is the people waving in the wave pool. They get pretty strong. Willem and I walked out and we're trying to reach up with Anneke and Lawrence and our friend. And we got so far and I was almost feeling like I was getting drowned, and I was holding on to Willem. I was not bobbing at the right point when the wave was coming over, and I got stuck underneath the water a couple of times. But the tubes are actually really good for this because Anneke was way out at the end, like the far end. I don't know if you could see anyone here, but there's a blue tube. Oh, there she is right there coming out this time. But she had that blue tube, and Willem and Lawrence, well, actually, mostly it was our friend had the other tube, the yellow and the orange one. So if you see a yellow and orange together, it's probably them too. And this is going up to the water slides. Anneke's on her way up there now. These 3, the yellow, red, and blue, only the yellow and the blue were working. That red one wasn't working. Oh, there's a zip line. And then the other slides, the green and the orange, and then the other ones that go to the other pool, they weren't operating at all. So it was really just that yellow one, which is a steep drop, which I'm not brave enough to do, and that blue one, which I did do when we were there last time, but I did not venture out in any water slides this time around. Did a lot of filming instead. As you can see, the wave pool was very attractive to people. This is the waves finishing. I remember being in there. I didn't go that time. I went the other 2 times. And it was so crowded with people, especially near the beginning, because they didn't want to get to where the waves were. It was like bumping against people, and the waves were, thrashing. You were just banging into people. So if you're afraid of crowds or anything like that, don't go in the wave pool on a weekend or holiday, because it was body to body, and it was just smashing into each other. It was kind of crazy. So Anneke came down the blue slide here, not this time, but the next time after this, or the next one after that, one of those. I don't know how many times she did it, but I guess she hit her head on the inside of the slide. And I'm not sure because it was apart, like nobody would see her hit her head. It was in the slide. There she comes. And she, I guess, came out of the pool and looked a bit stunned or something. And our friends, I guess, called the lifeguard. Or when we were told about it, I went over there and there was 3 lifeguards and they had a wheelchair. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? They have a wheelchair. But it wasn't that bad. I don't even think she has a bump on her head now, but I guess she's a bit stunned or whatever from hitting her head on the side. Going that blue slide, you can see it has turns and turns and turns. So on one of those turns, I guess she got a little bit fast and hit her head, thrashed against the side. I don't know. But they were really attentive to come with the wheelchair and everything. I thought, holy cow, what happened here? My poor daughter, they need a wheelchair to cart her off. We had a lot of fun, enjoyed our time. You couldn't take your, well, I didn't think you could take your tubes down the slide, but I did see somebody come down with a yellow tube, so not sure why. The rules are here are a lot more relaxed, we'll say, than we would have rules in Canada. There's my kids going in the pedal cars now. They went by so quick, I hardly got time for the camera to come out, and they're waving to me. We had such a great day. We found out that the kids don't have school the last Friday of pretty much every month, so we might make this a end of the month treat for everyone when it's probably, hopefully, not as busy as it is on a Sunday. But all in all, we had a really good time. Hard day? Look a bit sunburned.
You said the line up to the ice cream was long.
I know. Oh, Muffin.
Don't forget to hit the like button.